I'm Cyril Fleury from NXP, and I will present you our work to build a secure data path on Linux on the i.mx8m SOC. So I will start first with a secure video path overview. So the work I will present today is following the work we did and presented last year at OnCon Connect using Android BSP. So the slides on the demo are available on this link. Okay, so we have a fully functional wide one level 1 and SL3000 secure video path on Android BSP. Oops, sorry. So a quick introduction on i.mx8m. So it's a voice and a video processing application processor. It has dedicated hardware for security. It supports 4K HD video. It supports HDR, Dolby Vision, HDR10, etc. It has a hardware composer supporting 4K 60 frames per second. So we call it DCSS, Display Controller Subsystems. It supports also more than 20 audio channels, each at 384 kHz. It supports DSD 512. And what is important, it's fully supported on NXP 10 and 15 years longevity program. So it's an ARM-based processor. So I mentioned we have some specific security, hardware for security. So we have a high assurance boot, so that allow to have authenticated and encrypted boot. It supports ARM Trust Zone and OT, and we use OPTI from Linaro to secure our video buffer. We have a specific hardware IP. It's the RDC. It's a Resource Domain Controller. So on this IP allows to isolate the CPU, the VPU, the GPU, the DCSS, and the memory buffers that we use to decrypt the video. We have the CAM. It's a cryptographic acceleration and assurance module that we use to accelerate and isolate the cryptographic operations. And we have also SNVS. It's a secure non-volatile storage that embeds a 32 kilobyte secure RAM. So with that, we are able to build a secure data path. And the main contributor to the secure data path is the RDC for Resource Domain Controller. So with RDC, we can create memory regions, and we support up to 4 domains. On each each domain supports up to 8 memory regions. So the idea of RDC is to physically isolate the CPU and all the busmaster into the SOC to protect some specific memory region. So we can explain to each memory region what are the hardware IPs that can read and write. And so like that, we can limit the capabilities of some hardware to expose the secure memory to the non-secure world. So it's what we did on Android and Linux. So typically we have 4 domains. We created 2 memory regions, one for decrypted data, one for decoded data. So in domain 0, we have the CPU and most of the master bus of the SOC. So typically, we put almost everything, so SDMA, USB, PCI, the CPU, except the CAM for cryptographic acceleration operation, the VPU to decode the video, on the DCSS to perform the composition. So the idea with RDC is only the CAM is able to write in this memory, and only the CAM is able to, as the CPU also, are able to read here. So the CAM will move the encrypted data from non-secure world to this secure buffer. And then we continue. The VPU can only read from here and write to this buffer. It is the only hardware that is able to do that. If the CPU, SDMA, or USB try to read and write here or here, the RDC will block the access bus. So in our current implementation, we don't have the GPU, part of the secure video pass. It is not yet included, so we perform all the composition using the DCSS. Okay? There is some question. It's clear how we build a secure data pass with IDOT-MX item? Yeah. So what we did to build our Linux secure video pass on Linux. So we decided to use a web browser. So we took a web browser that is able to support EME for encrypted media extension. So we have used the OpenCDM implementation from Linaro. At web browser side, we have used WPE. So we are working on 2 branches today, the one from Igalia and the one from Metrological, and I will explain why after. We use a media source extension to control the video flow. As multimedia framework, we use JStreamer. So WPE is building the JStreamer pipeline. And so this is quite common, I would say. The main difference is we manage a secure buffer at this level. So today with WPE, shared memory are used when you are performing video playback. What we did is we added the support of ion buffer. So they are unmapped buffer. So they are allocated by EME, and they are managed after by JStreamer to manage the secure buffer. So as I explained, we use a Opti from Linaro, and then inside we have some trusted application to perform the wide WAN and play-ready decryption operation. We also use TrustZone IC to secure the video buffer. So we have RDC plus TrustZone IC to secure the buffer. That means that even if Opti is compromised, the CPU will not be able to access the secure buffer. So what is important to notice is we don't support encrypted slice headers. So we support only Common Encryption version 2 and version 3. And so if you try to play back a stream with encrypted slice header, it will not work because we don't want to embed H.264, HEVC, or VP9 codec parser into Opti. We want it's too much work. It will introduce too much code into Opti. So we let Linux or Android to manage the parsing of slice headers. So this is to compare our solution to create a secure video pass under Linux and under Android. So we use the same Opti code. We reuse the same trusted application for wide WAN, play-ready, and for the provisioning. We reuse the same VPU, CAM, and DCS driver. And we reuse the same ion unmapped buffer to manage secure buffer. The main differences are that for Linux, we rely on JStreamer. For Android, we rely on Stagefright and OpenMax. We use OpenCDM with CDMI modules to manage, to call the trusted application, to decrypt content. For Android, we use Android DRM plugin. And as video player, we use ExoPlayer for Android. And for Linux, we use WPE plus EME and MSE. So this is the global design. So we have, where is the pointer? We have the media player application that is loading a DAS.js library to manage the DRM shim parsing on the adaptive bitrate video content. Then we have WP that will build the GStreamer pipeline. The encrypted data are injected into the GStreamer pipeline. The Demux will detect the encrypted buffers, so they will be sent to OpenCDM decrypt plugin. At this moment, we need to split the clear video metadata coming from common encryption on the encrypted one in order to let the GStreamer plugin to parse the slice headers. So we create an additional shared memory to store the encrypted video data. Okay, then OpenCDM will notify WPE EME extension to decrypt the data. Then we go to the CDMI plugin that will call either the trusted application from Widevine or the one for PlayReady. Then we configure the CAM. GStreamer parse the slice header, configure the VPU, and then Opti asks the CAM to decrypt the content to ION unmapped buffers. The VPU decode the video after being configured by the secure VPU driver, trusted application. And then the DCSS will compose the output of the decoded video with the GUI generated by OpenGL through the GPU, using a normal buffer, so non-secure buffer. So we have a solution to put the GPU into our secure video path. For that, we have a secure MMU inside the GPU. So we are working to add a trusted application that will manage the secure MMU of the GPU to prevent the GPU to dump secure memory to non-secure memory. So typically, if you want to do video texturing, if you want to create secure surface, today it's not possible, but we are working on that. So where are we to build the secure video path under Linux using WPU browser on GStreamer? So first, all the SVP secure video path changes we did are based on the older OpenCDM architecture. Then, as I mentioned, we are using two WPE branches. So why? Because we need to have a Wayland implementation supporting the DCSS to perform hardware composition in a secure world. And for that, we are using the Igalia implementation. So that means today, we can perform, I would say, a 4K playback, but using only clear video, because we don't have yet integrated the ION support into the Igalia branch of WPE. So we are using ION buffer, we are using everything is secure, but we didn't yet enable the RDC on the TrustZone IC because we need to port the PlayReady Trusted application to work with Igalia WPE browser. And in parallel, we are using the metrological version of WPE. So this one doesn't support the DCSS. So we can enable the security. We can't enable the security, sorry, because we perform the composition with GPU. So what we need to do on this ongoing, we need to merge the two activities in order to be able to perform the composition with the DCSS and enable the RDC and TrustZone ASC functionalities. We also need to move to the new OpenCDM architecture to support the latest EME specifications. So the main contributor today to our secure video pass under Linux is Alexandre Jutras. It is an NXP assignee. But there are also other guys working on that. So we have Peter Griffin that is in the room that will that is doing the porting on to support the wide WAN DRM shim, because today we support only PlayReady. As I mentioned, we need to add the support of Wayland Weston to WPU from metrological to benefit of secure video pass with PlayReady on wide WAN shim. So this will be done by Alexandre Jutras. So any question till now? Something not clear about this design? No? So I will quickly review the changes we did on how we added support of ion buffers into WPE. So we have added some helper to be able to manage ion buffer into the WPE code. So typically, we use heap ID, and then we have named all the ion heap. We have two heaps. In fact, one for decrypted data, one for decoded data. And we have added some helper at WP level to be able to retrieve the ion ID from the name of the ion heap. So we have integrated ion buffer management in OpenCDM and CDMI for secure buffer, in addition of shared memory for non-secure buffer. So at some point, we will see from command encryption sample and subsamples. And so we split the clear subsample and the encrypted subsample into two different memory regions. One will be used by the CAM to decrypt the video. One will be used by GStreamer to sparse the size headers. We also yes. At CDMI level, at some point, we need to share the file descriptor used by the ion buffer between OpenCDM implementation and CDMI module. So with a non-secure buffer, it is done using shared memory. With ion buffer, we implemented a socket mechanism. So we have added a small socket server and a small client server in order to be able to share the file descriptor between OpenCDM and CDMI. That's it. On GStreamer, so we did some changes to support, of course, ion buffers. And today, what is important to notice is we support only H.264 codec under Linux. So for Android, we support more codec, but we just did H.264 on GStreamer to support ion buffer. We still have to do the implementation for HCVC on VP9. And we also added a conversion from AVC format to byte stream in order to be used by the trusted application running in Opti. That's it. Questions? Oops. Yes?
I have one question about the H.264 parsing.
Yes?
So do you build a specific pipeline for that? Or do you
No, it's a regular GStreamer pipeline. The only part we change is really this part. We keep the existing parsing code, just that we provide a new shared memory with a string. I can show you I have the schematic. In fact, it's in fact what we do is we do something like that. In fact, we receive subsamples, and so we have two shared memory. And the one that will receive GStreamer is the one in clear here. And so we keep the offset, but we remove the encrypted data. And so like that, GStreamer parsing will not be confused. We'll find the same information as before. So we can reuse the same parser. It is exactly the same as for Android. We did the same with OpenMax. Yes?
So here it's showing that trusted application configuring on the secure CAM. So is this a user mode trusted application or a T core inside that, a pseudo TA?
Both, in fact, we have the TA and the CA.
This trusted application
Yes.
side. So is it a pseudo TA or a user mode trusted application?
It's
because it's configuring.
It's Opti?
Yeah, it's in Opti, right?
Yes, it's in Opti, yes. It's secure domain with a CPU running in secure mode, yes.
So it's part of this, it's running at secure EL1 or it's running in the user space in the Opti side? That's my question. So it's configuring CAM, right?
Yes.
That's the only thing it does, right?
Yes, typically, yes, they are configuring the CAM to be able to decrypt the right keys and manage the license.
So it would be running at the secure EL1, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything that is in Opti is in secure domain.
Okay.
I mean.
So the only function that Opti does is to configure CAM and
yes.
for the decryption part.
Yes, more or less, yes.
Okay.
Yes. That means there is no video parsing, there is nothing related to the video that is done by Opti. Okay. We try to minimize the code we embed in Opti.
Okay.
Yeah. And finally, what we target is to use metrological implementation.
So for the BPU, that's configured by the non-secure world to.
In fact, yes. In fact, the non-secure world configures the VPU. Okay. Then the trusted domain, the secure domain, check the configuration is good. Okay. So if you try to decode secure content to non-secure content, Opti will block the request.
Okay.
And we will do the same for HDCP management. So we are adding HDCP management at Opti level. The same mechanism, we will let the T to configure HDCP, okay. But we will block the configuration if Y1 or play-ready decoding of decryption are ongoing.
Okay.
So just control.
Okay. Thank you.
So how much of the code is accessible to the general public, so to say? How much of it is open source? I mean, the Widevine TA is nothing you can share, really.
Yeah, but I think this part will be open source. This part is already open source, or what is in Opti is open source. I think if you sign an NDA, you can have the source code. Almost everything is open source. What is not open source is VPU driver, but there is an existing one.
But it's open source, but it's not like upstream kernel, right? I mean,
Yes.
You can go to an NXP repo
Yes.
Yeah,
via
yeah,
Google, and you can download the code, and it's GPL.
yeah.
And same for GPU. There is an open source driver available, so you can replace the NXP one.
Yeah.
But most of the work here will be open source,
Yeah.
except the HDCP part, because it's not from NXP.
And is it available at NXP pages today?
The-
If you go to NXP,
yes,
can you download most of this already
Yes.
today?
yes, yes, yes.
Some of the components are in NXP forks, so on cable it's all available. It's like the NXP fork of Western rather than upstream Western, NXP fork of Opti rather than your Opti Trio.
But you can access the code. Everything is on Code Aurora, so.
What's the reason behind such partition? Follow-up of his question of partitioning the configuration being done in the user space and the checking of
Yes.
Secure Year 1. Since Secure Year 1 already need to check that it's correct, so why don't you let the Secure Year 1 also to configure? Why such partition?
Because someone could compromise your kernel and ask the CAM to decrypt data in a non-secure memory, could ask the VPU to decode the data in a non-secure video, or ask the GPU to dump the video data in a non-secure memory.
Right. I'm following up on your comment that the non-secure side has to configure.
Yes,
Why don't we take that configuration also into the secure side? Because the secure side already need to have some code to check already.
But if you do that, you have to move a lot of code into Opti, and it's not very good at security level, and it's not very flexible because you have to change when you have a new VPU driver, when you have a new DCSS driver, etc. You have to change all your Opti. It's not flexible. If you just put the control part, you protect the register. In fact, what we do is we protect the register only with TrustZone ASC. Like that, only secure world can read and write the register, and we just have to do some basic checking. So typically for VPU, we just check the read address on the write address, and we say, OK, it's correct, so we write the configuration. Instead of, we don't write. And we return an error. So it's very basic. Very few code. It's very portable because we did some changes. We use a macro. When Opti is enabled, instead of to use the regular function IOread, IOWrite to write into the register, we use our macro that will call the TA to do the job. So impact is very minimum. The same for HDCP, because if you want to move all the HDCP stack into Opti, it's a huge effort, and it will not help to have something secure. It will stress a lot the system. If you introduce some security holes, so
The smaller the code base, the
yes,
less likely there are
it's
to be bugs.
Yeah, I understand that the attacking surface is much smaller, but looks like in order to configure, the code size will be much bigger, looks like.
yes, yes. Thank you.
Maybe one last question. Are there boards available to the general public that can run the entire stack?
Sorry?
Are there boards already available that can run this stack? Evaluation kits?
I mean, today what is missing of other board is the RDC. So you need to have something equivalent to RDC. Because, but I think ARM is working on something similar. I heard last year that they are building an IP very close to what NXP did for RDC. So it's something stronger comparing to TrustZone ASC, because TrustZone ASC will only protect the CPU. With RDC, you can protect the whole system.
You mean a dev board to buy? So
Anything you
the-
can buy that
The
can run
reference
this type.
for IMX8M, you can buy this
Okay.
reference.
But also
NXP.com.
is available, so you can flash it on the board.
So the play-ready and wide-band parts, you have to be a licensee.
Yes.
But there is also a ClearKey trusted application that allows that whole pipeline to be the same.
We don't support ClearKey today. It's possible. It should be quite smooth. Yeah. If one day you
You should be able to, even though we don't quite have it today, you should be able to have a fully open source version of that whole flow.
we have also a provisioning trusted application that we target to make open source. So like that you can perform the provisioning of wine keys directly from the T side. The side.
So we had ClearKey trusted application working in Android in this same setup. We also had it working with Chromium. And the plugins and everything and the trusted application all there was just really.
Yeah, I would even be interested if it was not open source, but you could, for example, flash pre-signed images and just see the whole thing running and have an open source normal run. That would already be interesting. But I guess that's often a difficult question.